Face. Post. Step. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Right. Face.
It is now my great honor to introduce the Falmouth Police Department Chaplain, Rebecca Mincielli.
Good evening. As we begin our night together, let us just pause for a word of prayer. Oh, holy God, we give you thanks this night that we have come to gather and support Cops for Kids with Cancer. We give you thanks for the work that they do and the ways that they have impacted so many families. We ask that you would continue to bless their work, that they may increase their outreach to help many more who need that financial help during these times. We pray for the families who are the recipients of those funds as they deal with this devastating disease. We ask for your gifts of healing, of strength, and of love of family and friends that will surround them with comfort and with hope. And as we come under the sponsorship of the Falmouth Police Department, we also ask your blessing upon each and every officer as they serve our community with commitment, dedication, integrity, and willingness to serve and protect us. And so we ask that you would protect them and bless them and their families as they too share in the sacrifice. And for the food that we are to eat tonight, for those who have prepared it, those who will serve it, we ask that you would bless it, that it may nourish us as we are in this event tonight. May you guide us and bless us as we seek to make a difference in the lives of others. Amen.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce Falmouth Police Chief Jeff Lurie.
Please take a seat, everybody. So I promise to be brief and probably overshare a little bit. So just about 2 years ago from now, my wife and I made the trek down to a select board meeting, and I was affirmed as your police chief. And the first thing I did when I left is I went to my police headquarters and took a tour. And people asked, what did the chief think of your building? And I used one word, appalled. So remember, we need your support moving forward for that. But why I say that is, there's one word I want to describe tonight, and that's amazing. Those that work with me know I have what you call chiefisms. Round peg, round hole. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And one that I like to use is, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift. And tonight truly is an amazing gift. We're going to raise funding. We're going to honor those battling cancer, support families that need assistance. I can tell you on a personal level, I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for a little boy that will always be 12 years old. He left us due to cancer 15 years ago. My sister and brother-in-law are here with us tonight. It's their son, Jacob Matthew Boudreau. And I think it's important that we remember that, listen to people's stories of success, and remember those loved ones that can't be with us tonight. They're here in spirit and they're here in our hearts. So I want to thank and welcome each and every one of you for your generosity to be here tonight and dig deep as we really want to raise funds to help an amazing organization that we're going to hear a lot about during this evening. With that being said, our tires that meet the road are unbelievable. My department is just amazing, right? The word of the night. So I'd like to call up Officer Jake Munier and Julia Massey, if you two could come forward. This is their effort. And before I turn the mic over to them, we developed challenge coins. It was Captain Reed's project. He did a great job. We did one challenge coin that had our shield and patch on it with the state of Massachusetts, and the other was Chiefs Award. So I'd like to present the Chiefs Award to Officer Massey. And the floor is yours.
So I was going to be mean and make Jake talk, but he's got a little stage fright. So I told him he can just stand there and look pretty. So the whole, I didn't plan a speech. I'm not a planner. The whole idea behind tonight is Jake. So Jake is one of our newer officers. He had pediatric cancer. He is, what, 5?
That'll be 6 in November.
6 in November, years in remission. I'm not going to... I'm not going to steal any of his mom's speech. His mom's going to get up and talk. Hopefully she doesn't, hopefully he didn't get the stage fright from her, but we'll find out, right? So there's a few people and companies that we really want to thank because tonight wouldn't happen without them. Obviously, we need to thank the Sea Crest. They gave us this whole room for free. The only thing we're paying for tonight is the food that we eat. So everything else, they're hooking us up. They also donated a one-night stay. So once we're done with the speeches and eating, once we're done with the speeches and while we're eating, if you guys want to see, you can see myself, you can see Officer Munier, and we're gonna have somebody kind of posted at the door to the room over here. We've got a lot of, if you haven't checked it out already, we have a lot of really good raffle items and auction items. So just come see one of us. We can sell you tickets. We're also going to do a 50-50 raffle. So come and see one of us, and we'll be able to help you out with getting some tickets. So we need to thank our sponsors. The Falmouth Road Race was our biggest sponsor, so definitely thank you to the Falmouth Road Race. We've got Theus Leal Skin Studio was a sponsor as well. Brown Building. Cape Save. And BLK Pro Detailing. I'd like to thank the Salty Florists, so all these lovely centerpieces, they donated a good majority of that. The table runners were all donated by Party Cape Cod. And then, of course, we've got retired Officer Cheryl, Sister Spin, doing the DJing tonight. There is a photo booth set up in the corner over here. That is going to be by Straight from the Cape Entertainment. We also have a little selfie station over here, the Balloon Arch, made by Mary Adams. And then Jenny Senior, where are you at? Jenny, over there, yeah. So Jenny is, she is responsible for pretty much how this whole room looks. She did a really good job. I wouldn't have been able to do it without her, so thank you, Jenny. And then I have to thank my parents, my mom, all these, the table numbers, the names on the table. If you'll see a couple of little police cars. The guests of honor have little gift things. My mom made all those with the Cricut, and my dad was huge in going around while I was working full time, going around and getting auction items and donations for me. So thank you guys. And then we also have two Board of Selectmen here. So I would like to thank Bob Mascali and Doug Brown for attending. Thank you. All right, we are going to try to keep this short and sweet and not too long, so we can eat, dance, and spend some money. The more the better. So I would like to invite a representative from Cops for Kids with Cancer to come up and say a few words.
Good evening. My name is Bob Fayette. I'm a retired Superintendent-in-Chief of the Boston Police Department. And I want you to know you have a real, I don't know how to explain them, but you have a person here in Falmouth that's been supporting Cops for Kids with Cancer for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And I'd like to have John Kafila come up here a minute. This is a surprise for him. Just tell him what you've done for us over the past time.
Nothing like putting me on the spot there, Bob. I would have prepared something if you had told me.
No, I just wanted to tell him what a great guy you are and how much money you've raised.
We used to have a small golf tournament at the State Police Barracks in Bourne. We'd probably raise $2,000 or $3,000, and it would go to Cops for Kids with Cancer. probably about 15 years ago. March 12th, 2016, our son was killed in line of duty at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Tampa. It was a lot for a family to go through, but we tried to make some good come out of it. So we repurposed that golf tournament, and it became the Deputy John Cutfilia Jr. golf tournament, and it was run by the State Police in Bourne. And that was, this year coming up will be our 9th tournament. The tournament has become a huge success. A lot of it has to do with a lot of people in this room right here tonight. Friends, businesses from Falmouth who have stepped up 8 years ago when we first started it. To date, we have donated to Cops for Kids with Cancer over $110,000. And I've known Bob and Lieutenant Bill Coulter, who was one of my drill instructors in the academy back in 1988. And him and Billy Coulter were like Abbott and Costello when we would go someplace. They were like an old married couple, complaining about driving and where they were going, and it was actually humorous. Unfortunately, we lost Billy to cancer,
Yeah.
how many years ago?
Must be 5 at least.
5 or 6 years ago. And Bob probably won't tell you his age, but he's been involved in this for a long time, and Bob's a character. I don't know if you haven't had a chance to meet him, but Bob is a character. He's a great guy, and he does a lot for kids with cancer, and he's gotten us involved. And last year, we met up with Falmouth Police, and we presented a check for $5,000 to a young man from Falmouth who has osteocancer, Lucas Souza. And that's what Cops for Kids with Cancer does. They show up. Any police department in the Commonwealth can call them up and say, we've got a kid here who has cancer. Can you do something for him? And literally they show up with a check for $5,000. Do with it as you please. Take care of all your expenses, whatever you need to do. No strings attached. And I've been, unfortunately, we've done it quite a few times, and the family always breaks down in tears because they always have. There's so much more that goes into dealing with a kid who has cancer, and it's not just about that. There's transportation. There's a bunch of issues. So I know they really appreciate Cops for Kids with Cancer showing up and presenting a check. So I'd like to thank you, Bob. Thank you very much.
John. Here, here's a memento.
Thank you.
Well, now that he did my whole speech, I'll just give you a quick rundown of Cops for Kids with Cancer. A friend of mine is a captain in the Boston Police Department. He's retired. He lost the top of his 2 fingers in Iwo Jima during the war, and he was denied getting on the Boston Police. So he sued the Boston Police, and they showed that he could fire a firearm with his 2 fingers. And anyway, John retired, the captain, and he liked to go to Ireland. So one day he happened to go in a pub, which was unusual for an Irish guy in Ireland. And sitting next to him was a fellow named Pat Hamlin, and he was a detective in the Garda Síochána, which is the national police force in Ireland. And they got to talking about this and that, and John related how when he was younger, he had cancer, but he beat it. And he said he didn't know, what can we do for children that have cancer? So they come up with a scheme, which is a golf tournament. And we had the first golf tournament in Ireland, which was a great thing, in the beautiful places they have there. And I was playing with one of my friends against 2 of the Irish cops, and my friend hit a ball and it went in the grass. Their grass there is about this tall. So John McManus picked up the ball and he threw it in the fairway. One of the Irish cops said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm taking a mulligan." He said, "Well, in here in Ireland, you're taking 3. So the money raised there went to Mercy Hospital in Cork. In the next year, they came to Boston, and the money we raised there went to Children's Hospital. And we did that back and forth for a couple of years until the police was taken over by the people with the races, and they lost 10% of their pay. No ifs and buts about it. And when they did it again to them, they couldn't afford to come back and forth to America. But we all remained great friends, and that was the start of Cops for Kids with Cancer. And we raise money anywhere we can. We have people that ran in the tournament, the race there in Boston. They raised a lot of money for us, and we're going to have some people running here in the Falmouth Road race. We're going all the time to raise money because we're giving the families $5,000 each, and we're doing 10 families a month. So it's a lot of money to come up with all the time. Just a quick story, a friend of mine, he was a patrolman where I worked, and he lived in Falmouth after he retired, and he said, "Bob, come with me, I want to show you something." He used to go to auctions for houses, and that was his hobby. And he showed me a spot someplace near the water, and he says, "You can get that for $1 million. And I said, "Are you crazy?" But anyway, he passed away suddenly. And when his wife died, they left Cops for Kids with Cancer. It was like, I don't know. See, I'm getting old. It was something like over $100,000, which was a great help for me and for the organization. But we do all kinds of things. We have a thing for the police departments. No shave, November. They pay $100 each, and they can grow their beards. I don't know if the chief here would like that, but it's a way to raise money for Cops for Kids with Cancer. So the thing is, it's a tough thing to see these kids all the time the way they are, but you know, if we can help them as much as we can, like anything that anyone can do to help us, we'd greatly appreciate it. You know, I'm a little off because next month I'll be 90. So I figured I kind of forget a lot of things, but anyway, we thank all the people that donate to Cops for Kids with Cancer, and thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be my mom. Hopefully she can hold the waterworks back, but we'll see. Priscilla, if you want to come up.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. Cops for Kids with Cancer, my favorite charity. I'm so glad everybody is here. The days leading up to Mother's Day in 2018 were beautiful. The chills and the rain of the April had subsided and given way entirely to spring. The sun was poking out, the flowers were blooming, baseball season was in full swing, rock on Red Sox. My son Jake, who left me up here by myself, by the way, was gearing up to go to his junior prom and was glowing with excitement about his blue tuxedo, his date, and the double-stretch limo full of his friends. Everything was perfect, and my stomach was in knots. My stomach was in knots. On Friday, May 11th, I had received the test results from the doctor confirming that my 17-year-old Jake had cancer. It was, without a doubt, the worst weekend of my life. It was Mother's Day weekend. It's supposed to be wonderful. I was forced to swallow my feelings. Devastation, fear, worry, disbelief swirled inside me, casting a dark cloud that blocked the usually exciting and joyous conditions of the spring. But I didn't have it in me to tell Jake right away. I knew that telling him would stop him from attending the junior prom he was so excited for. Hell, I didn't even know if he was going to live to attend the next year's prom. So I thought it best he get to enjoy this one unfettered by fear. And thank goodness that I can say that part. You guys know that he's here, so yay. After the prom, I did tell him. Our lives turned from baseball and summer vacation plans into chemotherapy and radiation treatments. Days usually spent on the pond, in the boat, on the jet skis, turned into days of driving back and forth to Mass General. I kept thinking about how different Jake's senior year of high school was going to be from comparison to all his friends and to my senior year. A battle with cancer is truly a war on two fronts. The vast majority of energy, as it obviously should be, is spent on beating the disease itself. The days are made up of facing and dealing with the physical and emotional challenges of chemotherapy and radiation treatments. The weight loss, the weight gain, the hair loss, the mouth and the head sores, the exhaustion, the fear and the stress of worrying what is next, the unknown, the disappointment of missing out on senior year activities, the disappointment of missing your baseball games. Because of how time-consuming and necessary this side of the battle is, it is quite easy to neglect the other front, the financial stress of cancer. If I'm in my car driving to the hospital day in and day out, I can't very well be working. But the bills don't care. They keep coming to the mailbox. I found respite along the way in friends, family, and nurses. But the only true bright spot through the whole ordeal, aside from when Jake rang the remission bell, was when I received a phone call from the chief of police in Lakeville, inviting my son and I to come to the station. It was there that I learned how fabulous and deep impacting the Cops for Kids with Cancer charity is. The check that I received from them that day helped to pay my bills, alleviated the financial stress of dealing with cancer. And as I heard before, I laughed because you said you cry. Everybody cries when they get their check. Oh, did I ever. I cried big, beautiful, happy tears, relief tears at the station. And I gave that chief the most incredible, grateful hug, and I said, I will pay back every penny that you gave to my family, and then some, I promise. I did make that promise, and I have done that. I run a road race every year through the month of October. It's not a road race, actually. It's Mile After Mile that people sponsor. And we have given back all that money and then some. I will continue to raise the funds for this charity because I need other families to feel that sense of relief that I had. I'm hoping that sharing my story has expressed the massive impact that Cops for Kids with Cancer has had just on me and my family. I know they've helped so many others, but there are so many more families dealing with pediatric cancer. So we have got to keep donating money and keep it going. And being that it's May, 7 years, almost to the day of Jake's diagnosis, it seems extremely fitting to ask for donations tonight to help restore that feeling of spring to other families that are battling pediatric cancer. So thanks for letting me get up here and get over my stage fright that, I don't know, Jake, I think you should give a speech and get over it. Yeah? I think so. Yeah, right? I second that. I love it. So open up the wallets, dig deep, leave it all here, right? But thanks for having me. Have a good night, you guys.
right, our next speakers. So my parents, they like to frequent Asia and Mashpee because of their Mai Tais. And they met these people at Asia one time, and probably not the safest thing in the world, but they just met the stranger and was like, hey, come back to my house, we're gonna have an after party. And you would think it would be me, but no, my parents were like, yeah, let's go to the after party. So they did, and they became friends, and through that, we met the Squillantes. So we have little Steve, and his parents. So little Steve is Steve the Third. I learned that recently. Steve the Third. So we have little Steve, we have Steve Jr., and we have Shannon Squillante. After party at their house tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Shannon Squillante, and I'm very honored to be here today with my husband Steve and to talk about our son Steve and his diagnosis with cancer. Want to say hi? Hi. You say hi. Hi. So he really loves police cars and motorcycles, so he was very excited to see the car out front and all the police officers. They'd probably come say hi to everyone. And so just a little bit about him. Unfortunately, his medical journey does not start with cancer. Steve was born in October 2021. During the first few days of his life, doctors knew something was wrong due to his high bilirubin levels. At just 3 days old, we were told we would need to be seen at Boston Children's Hospital. As a parent, and especially a first-time parent, this was extremely scary to hear. He had his first appointment at 5 days old and has been a patient at Children's ever since. After a month of appointments and testing, he was diagnosed with biliary atresia, a rare liver disease of the liver and bile ducts. You can talk after me, okay? Which leads to cirrhosis and liver failure. He had his first life-saving procedure, the Kasai procedure, at 5 weeks old. Steve's Kasai procedure gave him some time with his native liver, but it never fully started working. His numbers never normalized. He experienced portal hypertension, ascites, and failure to thrive. Oh, man. By summer, he needed to be placed on the liver transplant waiting list. So we started the process of evaluations. Also around this time started Steve's monthly admissions for fevers or illness. Every month for a few days, he would be admitted to Boston Children's. Steve was officially listed for transplant in November of 2022. The wait was extremely hard, not knowing when the call would come or if it would come in time. After a couple of months of waiting, we decided to really look into living donation, and the team agreed that this would be the best way forward. We didn't want to wait to see him get so much more sick and risk the chance of him not being strong enough for transplant. Luckily, Steve was a candidate for living donation, and we started the process. My husband Steve and my brother both were tested, and neither were a match due to different medical issues. I was tested X and was a perfect match for Steve. So on August 2nd, 2023, I underwent living liver donation surgery at Leahy Hospital, and Steve went under liver transplant at Boston Children's Hospital. Both surgeries were successful, and we both had a relatively smooth recovery. Even though he was still recovering from transplant, the change in his complexion and the whites of his eyes was almost immediate. He had a few post-transplant complications. Yeah, say hi. He had a few post-transplant complications, but was doing amazing, and his liver was actually working. He was not suffering from liver failure for the first time in his life. We couldn't wait to do more with Steve and live life to the fullest. We were planning our first big family vacation to Florida and to put Steve in daycare to play with other kids. But a few months later, one of the scary numbers that we watched for post-transplant, EBV, started rising. This isn't too scary for most people, but immunocompromised transplant recipients, it can be very bad. We noticed Steve getting super tired, losing weight, and not having any energy even to play. After an outpatient scan, he was admitted right away for further testing. After many scans, spinal tap, and biopsies, one of our biggest fears was confirmed. In March 2023, Steve was diagnosed with PTLD cancer, which is post-transplant lymphoproliferative disorder. Even after going through transplant and all his other medical issues, you are never prepared to hear that your child has cancer. He was admitted for 2 weeks while the team got full results and worked up a treatment plan. While they did find the cancer all over his body, it was caught early, so they were extremely optimistic that it would respond to treatment. He started treatment right away and got his first 2 infusions at Children's. He had an adverse reaction to the first infusion, which was so hard to see him go through. They slowed the second infusion way down, and it took over 24 hours. Keeping a toddler in a bed connected to an IV for that long was not the easiest, but thankfully, the second infusion went much better. He finished up the next 6 rounds of his rituximab treatment at the Jimmy Fund. These days were so tough, not only for Steve, but being in the infusion room with so many other children going through cancer treatments was heartbreaking. Luckily, Steve's cancer responded very well to the treatment, and by September, all of his spots had shrunk and his EBV levels were undetected. The treatments left his immune system even more compromised, but we were determined to get him back to living his life to the fullest. He was finally able to attend preschool and hang out with other kids, and we finally got to go on our family trip to Florida. Being here today and being able to share his story is an honor. We are so proud of him and admire his strength through this all. We cannot wait to see him grow up and experience life. What makes this night even more special is the organization it is benefiting, Cops for Kids with Cancer. Steve was a recipient of a Cops for Kids with Cancer grant back when he was going through treatment. The day we accepted the grant, we were greeted with a police escort from our house to the Weymouth Police Station. He was treated like a VIP. He got a tour, he got to meet all the officers, and he got to see the motorcycles. He loved it. Everyone we met, from the organization to all the police officers, were extremely kind and generous. We greatly appreciated the grant and the help during another trying time. What is wonderful about this organization is that families can use the grant for whatever their needs may be, whether that is paying for medical bills, transportation, supplementing pay to take time off to care for your child, or toys or something fun for their child when they go through treatment. Steve had many medical bills from cancer and will have medical bills his whole life from transplant. So we use that money towards, of course, paying some bills, but we were also able to take him on that trip. He got to go to Disney, and it was just amazing to see him be a normal kid. He loved all the rides and meeting all the characters. We just wanted to say thank you to the Falmouth Police Department for hosting this gala to benefit Cops for Kids with Cancer. And thank you to Cops for Kids with Cancer for everything you do for kids with cancer and their families. Thank you to Officer Julia Massey for your hard work putting this together and for inviting us to speak at this great event. And finally, thank you to all in the room for being here and supporting this amazing cause. We really appreciate it. We speak from firsthand experience at just how much of a difference you all are making. We hope you have a great night, and thank you.
All right, last but certainly not least, we have, so most recently, when was this? September?
Yeah.
This past September, it was this past fall, Cops for Kids with Cancer actually came to Falmouth Police Department to present a check to a local Falmouth family that is currently battling pediatric cancer. And I am honored that they were able to show up tonight. So I would like to welcome Jennifer Scarano and Hernando Souza, the parents of Lucas, to say the final words before we start this party and you guys donate more money.
I don't prepare speeches.
I never know what to say until it comes. So, wow, just over a year ago, I went to work, who I'm becoming a little bit more friendly and aware of Officer Massey. She is a client with her many dogs at Deer Run. So I went to work one morning and went to work with the animals. And my son walked to his bus stop and went on that bus and went to school. And the school, that day I can just tell I was, it was a very emotional day at that place. It was, a very sick cat that day. Dr. Alfano was like, I was losing it in the room, and I never do that. It was like I knew something was coming. My husband ended up, someone came to get me. My husband was on the phone. I get that call. Something happened at school. Lucas is going to the hospital. So I just grabbed my keys and I literally just started driving to Falmouth Hospital. He called me again and said, they're transporting him right to Hasbro. So I knew then it was, something severe, and it was something dramatic because, they don't do too much at Falmouth Hospital. They do great work, mind you, they definitely do. So I knew. And so I just started driving. Now I just started driving to Providence and, and just call my mom on my way and just like, and so I get there and this poor thing is just lying in bed, lying in there, the ER, thirsty, because, they didn't know if they could do surgery yet or not, so he had a broken femur. So as they were waiting and getting everything, we knew, because a femur, the biggest, largest bone in the body, is not going to just break by running, playing wiffle ball. So he was playing wiffle ball in gym class, running from second to home base, and he broke it. So I knew. So we were just waiting, and then that was the initial shock, and wow. And so it was, then he was just, there, and he was at Hasbro, and so were we. I was just permanent fixture there and finally, a couple, I have no idea when, he could manage to calm my husband, and I literally just had contacts like glued in my eyes, couldn't even, get my glasses ready or whatnot. It was just, it feels like yesterday. That whole year is amazing, of just the staff at the hospital, just support that they gave, how unbelievable Lucas is, and he's standing today. The last time some of you have met him, he was in the wheelchair. So his recovery and then the chemo was just like, just literally was almost amazingly well of how he handled it. He was a rock star. He just went through it, the chemotherapy, and he was just, the worst part is because he was stuck in that bed. He was in traction for 3 months, literally couldn't get out of the bed before they could do surgery. Obviously they had to do chemo first, so that was hard. So again, springtime, almost, then Mother's Day, and knowing that all summer we were gonna be in that hospital room. So July 18th of 2024, they performed the surgery, and they took out about 8 inches out of his femur and did an allograft, and proud to say it is doing well. He is growing nice, new, healthy bone all around his plates and his screws, and he is able to walk with a walker, and he's doing amazing today. Chemo ended in January. He finished his long months of chemo and multiple surgeries. He had a few possible spots in the chest that they needed to go in, because you can't really just biopsy it. You need to kind of go in and find out. And so he is recovering really well and amazingly, picked up right back at school and whatnot of this year. And he is, right now, he is in remission. We just had his other PET scan and his last CAT scan, and just the most recent, his x-rays of the leg, and everything looks great. It looks so it's just it's been a year, and I finally feel there's hope, and we're getting there, and he has just been so strong and amazing through it, of just being a teenage boy, of like missing out on summer, and like just wanting to, you know, be back at school, and, you know, right away, and, you know, go swimming in the pool. And when he finally could just come outside of that room and go outside and have fresh air, was just amazing. And you know, it's just to be here with everyone who I know who's helped, and being a recipient of, you know, Cops for Kids for Cancer, it was huge. Minus a lot of little things. My little check went through like my ambulance ride, because somehow there was a little problem with my insurance. So I had a little hospital bill for just the ambulance ride from Bourne to Hasbro. So I definitely valued that, and that went immediately to helping some bills, because you just don't realize what is happening outside of world. I was just at Hasbro, and I lived there, and my husband, Nando, as we call him, just was trying to survive in his own way. He was working because the bills come. We have animals at home. We obviously only have our son, Lucas, but, you know, to go back and forth daily, for him to visit, whatnot, and trying to work, and it's just like anything. It's like that nightmare for a family to go through, and to get through to the other side. You know, so it's just you know, a nice feeling to just be standing here. And so again, as I'll shop to babble, because people who know me, I'll just talk forever. So on that note, again, thank you. Thank you for what you all do, and what the potential of you all have to give to others is greatly appreciated and valued and is needed. Before Officer Massey had asked us to come, when we heard about this, even my husband wanted to come, who he doesn't like getting dressed up at all, but said, we need to give back. We need to go and give back. Because a couple years ago, we were helping his own brother going through problems with other health concerns of his child. And then it was our turn. And now again, we want to be able to help someone else, because it's always there. Someone's always out there, unfortunately, fighting that fight. And we're going to do what we can to help them as well. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
You and the chief, Chief, come on up here. Jake, come up front. He's sitting. Never mind.